Google capture management or business development for any of the top defense contractors, those jobs are paying $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. These are the kind of jobs that people can get where they can feed their families and they can really eat. But it doesn't require a degree.
Listening to your high school counselor, what you should do is almost like listening to your banker, what you should do with your money. He's sitting behind a desk telling you not to pay your insurance in advance so your mortgage will go down if you have one.
My name is Eric Coffie. My organization's name is GovCon Giants. And we've been teaching federal contracting online for the last 7 years. I've helped 2 companies scale to 7 figures in 18 months. My consulting company, we manage a portfolio of clients with revenues exceeding $600 million.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today, this is a special episode. I have spoke to this man from the phone to the email for years before even coming to Florida. He is the Gov Giant. He is the guy who JJ from Apex Accelerator, I always call it PTAC, said he listens to Eric Coffie stuff to learn. This is the government listening to this man. You're not going to see him on the Burn Your Leisure podcast because he's giving you game you can use. You're not going to see him talk about you can make $100 billion because you got to first start and get in the game. Eric Coffie, man, I'm liking the shirt. I'm going to try to get the shirt and see if he got some extras to sell or something. Welcome to Diversified Game. How you doing?
I'm doing great, my brother. I appreciate you.
Man, appreciate you. You have a conference coming up. I want to start there. Let's get into the conference. What's it about? When is it? And is it annually? Are we going to also be able to see it in Spain, Kenya? Where else?
Yeah, so right now it's annually. Miami, we're having at the Fontainebleau November the 14th and 15th. And the reason why we're doing this conference is because we want to actually give people the chance to meet actual federal customers, federal buyers, decision makers who are awarding these contracts that you so hear about. When you listen to the internet and you're watching and looking at shows on Instagram and all this stuff, you're not actually get a chance to really meet those decision makers. So we're going to put you in the room with the people who are actually awarding those contracts that you hear about, so that way you're not so far from them. You're not so far removed. And so now you can actually touch them and feel them and meet them and talk to them about your business and the opportunities that you have and what it is that you want to sell to the government. So that's the gist of it. We want to introduce what we call the undiscovered community to the actual decision makers at the federal levels.
So these are people in procurement. Is it all federal? Is it state, county? If so, where are they coming from?
They're all federal. I personally, I believe the federal government, there's a reason why I work in that space. There's 4 reasons that I can give you. The number 1 reason why I particularly choose federal versus state and local is because when you do federal contracts, they support teaming, they support strategic partners. They're not looking for you to be the handyman in the truck. They actually want you to put together teams of people to actually go after bigger deals. So that's something that I believe in, because the second reason is their caps are much larger. So if you were to get registered at a city or a state level, the caps of being small businesses in a low single-digit millions, whereas in the federal government, it's 500 employees or $30, $40 million. So you have the ability to grow and scale beyond your current capacity, or even probably beyond your current vision, so to speak. The third reason that I like working with the federal government is because the rules are the same. So regardless of if you are in Kenya or if you're in Spain or if you're in the United States, 99% of all the federal agencies, they use FAR, which is Federal Acquisition Regulations, and so the rules are the same. So regardless of what city, what state you're in, if you're working on a federal base, you know the same set of rules. That doesn't apply when you deal with municipalities. So those are some of the reasons why, like I said, I personally do federal, because they got bigger budgets, they got a lot more money. And then the fourth reason, the bonus, is they pay on time, which is most important for people like you and I, because why? We need our money. We ain't got time to wait. So when people talk about 30, 60, 90 days payments, they're talking about state and local government. Federal government, I just had to on my show today, we get paid in 15 days, 10 days, 20 days. As long as your paperwork's right and it's been approved, the government, the federal government will not issue a contract unless the funding is already secured. You can't say the same thing for state and local government.
Well, I'm in one now. Yeah, I'm on a net 30, and I just have to smile because that's part of the game when you play local. But when you talk about, even just talking about the 10 million or even the first 1 million for somebody, a lot of times we hear people say, okay, 100 million or 30 million, but they never talk about all the other companies that were involved. It's not like it was one person just getting that money. What's the smallest team that you've seen with the biggest bag, just to give somebody some realistic numbers if they're like a 1 or 2 person shop?
So a 1 or 2 person shop, I've seen, 1 or 2 person shop, you probably could do, I don't know, you could do 200,000 to probably about $1 million.
Okay.
But you're gonna have to have a strong partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because people, they'll hear you and go to your YouTube. Links will be in the description. You guys go check out everything. Become a student if you're serious. And they'll say, oh, he was talking about all this money, and think you have it on you from that last contract.
Right.
And we want you to be safe. We don't want people coming up calling me saying, hey, we got him on the boat. But with the 30 and the 40s and above, just an average, how many companies are involved in that?
Oh, there's probably a few dozen.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're working on projects of that scale, I mean, when we actually we got shortlisted on a $20 million project, we probably had I don't know 2 dozen partners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, some people are scared to grow and get that big millions because they say they don't have the infrastructure or the team. They might be able to do some of the work, but let's say the back end office stuff they can't do. Is that stuff that you help with Gov Giants? And if so, tell them how can they get started?
Yeah, no. So one of the things we do is we focus on training people. Like I believe in training people. I don't want to be responsible for anyone's business. So unfortunately, what I've learned is when you get involved in people's business, you don't know how they run a clean shop. You don't know who's all, I don't like messing around with stuff like that. So for me personally, what we'd like to do is train people. So we'll train their team. We can train their back office staff. So if they want to hire someone and come to us for training, that's fine. We can do that. We'll be happy to do that. We've trained over 7,000 entrepreneurs to this date. So we're happy with that. We just don't get involved in people's businesses because I don't want to be responsible for your person not pushing the button. I don't want to be responsible for your person not following through on something that we told them to do. So we learned over the years to stay away from that. But I don't mind advising people, giving them direction. We have something called the Federal Content and Roadmap, which is a manual about, I should have brought it, but it's about 300 pages. And it gives you all the steps and activities that you should do to start getting into this business. All of our information is on govconedu.com. So it's GOVCONEDU, right, like education.com. And you'll see all of our training, our courses, and we talk about proposal writing, doing market research, how to find who buys what you sell, all those things that you need to fundamentally get started, and including building a team, joint ventures, partnering, things like that. So.
Besides the YouTube, you also have on Eventbrite events almost monthly here locally, but people can also do online.
Yeah.
Talk about that, and also when they get deep into the GovCon, what is that starting price point? Because of course people get scared when they don't know the numbers. They're like, okay, you got me wet. Now are you going to finish the job? Sorry for the, but we by the water, y'all gotta know. But that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
They want to know how much monthly help can I get and the support, and can you help me guarantee me a contract?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So we have what you're talking about in terms of events. We've got a community platform called federalhelpcenter.com. And so federalhelpcenter.com is our community platform where we bring on other experts and professionals to provide coaching, webinars, and trainings for the small business community. Because, I've gotten to the point now where I can't do all this stuff myself. And so over the years, we've developed an ecosystem of experts. They call them subject matter experts, or SMEs, in the GovCon space. That's an acronym for you guys to use on your proposals, SMEs. So we call them SMEs, and they come in and they provide training for you. So that platform is actually free to start. If you were to move up to a premium subscription where you get all the recordings of some of our micro courses, it's $30 a month, or $300 a year. And then if you want to get into the group coaching sessions, then that runs you about $2,000 a year, or $199 a month.
And is that with you and your experts, or
so the group coaching is So I teach one of the classes once per month. But then my coaches teach the other classes, and so it's all on-demand training. And then weekly we have group coaching calls on Zoom or Teams or any of those types of platforms where we reinforce the concepts. But we give you all of the on-demand classes. We give you a roadmap that has everything that you need to do, physical, and then we give you a tracker to track all the information, so where to put it. So we pretty much buttoned this thing up to where, I mean, we've had so much success that we think we pretty much, I would hate to say perfected, because you don't really perfect anything, but we've had a lot of success with our students over the years, winning tens of millions of dollars in contracts. So we're very happy with that.
Now, one of my signature questions is, what's your community give back that you're doing or that you would do in the future? That almost sounds like it, but is there anything else with all this success that you're giving back to the community, whether it be high school students who want to learn, or, you know, people even coming out of prison who want to learn? Anything that you can think of that you're doing or that you want to do?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you bring that up. Our programs are already being taught at some of the prisons.
Oh, wow.
And so we actually donated books to one of the institutes down here in South Florida. We've actually had someone come out of prison who've already won contracts based on our trainings. So we do have that success story.
Yeah.
We are waiting to get approval to go into the prison and actually do an actual live event inside the Correctional Institute down in Everglades. And so we are already doing some of that stuff. Last year at our conference, we offered to bring in the HBCU students for free to our conference. Unfortunately, it's been very difficult working with HBCUs because they have not been so forthcoming with information and logistics and planning. And so we weren't able to pull it off, but we did make the offer, we made the attempt, and we did it again this year. We would gladly support any HBCUs that wanted to come to our conference. We had people that were willing to cover the cost, provide buses and transportation, and we were offsetting the ticket cost. So we've tried doing a lot of that. Like I said, we're doing the stuff in the prisons, so we do give back a tremendous amount because I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful to be in this position, and I love doing that. Part of me.
Okay, I'm because this is Florida Memorial that you.
Florida.
I'm gonna make a call for you and see and let them know, because that would be, they need to be actually on the volunteer list.
Sure.
To get that internship that a lot of students haven't gotten, especially at the HBCU. Sometimes there's not the same opportunity, or you're just not exposed to it. Exposure is everything. And so I'm thinking now, and of course the Florida Black Chamber in Miami, the Miami-Dade Chamber.
Listen, again, we want to work with those organizations because listen, I paid for the conference, okay? I've got some sponsors, but I put up the money, all right? And so, because I believed in this, and I believe in our community, and I believe that I'm out here speaking around the country to different federal agencies, and they're saying that we need more blood, we need more people, we need more entrepreneurs, we need our industrial base to grow. Our industrial base has been shrinking, not increasing. So we're having fewer and fewer companies coming into this place, and there's more and more money. So they need to grow the industrial base in order to keep America the way it is. Forget about making it better, just to keep it like at the level of where we're at. But I do believe that if more people like us get into this, and I call it the undiscovered group, more of the undiscovered people who are not servicing the federal government today get into this mix, then we're going to have a diversity of ideas, diversity of thoughts. We're going to have more people that are higher ethical and morals going in and doing the work. And so we're going to get more bang for our buck for our tax dollars. And so I believe that the benefit is so much greater than just self-enrichment. So that's why I do it, and that's why I put my money where my mouth is.
Now, I asked JJ this. This was told to me by somebody in Florida a decade ago, saying to do federal work, you got to be in D.C. at least once a month, if not twice a week, to really, shake the hand so they know you. Have you found that to be true for, your students?
Yeah, I actually had never been in D.C. before a few years ago.
Okay.
And I've been doing federal contracts since 2008.
Wow. Okay, so that says now somebody I can hear that say, but you're an advisor for the construction crews that got to shake their hands. Do you think the situation will be any different?
Remember, I started off actually as a construction company, boots on the ground with my own physical employees. I wasn't an advisor to anybody. I was doing the actual contract. The reason why that's a very confusing thing to tell people is because if you look at any of the federal agencies, a lot of them, the headquarters in D.C., but where they actually are issuing the contracts is in other places around America.
Yeah.
So, for example, I do work with National Park Services. which is under the Department of Interior. Well, they're based out of Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
What good is it going to do when you go to D.C.?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you know, like,
Yeah.
D.C. can't help me with
Yeah.
the people that make a decision in Denver, Colorado.
Did you have to go to Colorado to shake their hand?
No, I didn't go to Colorado. I just called them up. But occasionally, if there's an event or something they're hosting, like an industry day, yes, I would go to Colorado.
Okay.
So, for example, the Louisville District of Army Corps of Engineers, who gives out contracts from the Northeast to the Southeast, right? But they're out of Louisville. I had to go to Louisville to go shake their hands. But you don't get Corps of Engineers contracts from Louisville District by going to D.C.
Okay.
You don't get Corps of Engineers contract from Jacksonville District by going to D.C.
You got to go to Louisville.
You gotta go to Louisville or Jacksonville or Huntsville.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, people get intimidated sometimes when you say these big, you know, you'll say the Army, the Navy, and they're like, look, I'm not that big. I don't have that big of a team.
Right.
But, you know, to apply for that RFP, it says you qualify. Does Gov Giants have a network of people in case you want to team up with people and do maybe a joint venture or something like that?
Yeah, well, that's why we put together the Federal Help Center, our community platform, so that you can be on there and you can be with successful students as well as partners, and you can identify. You can, you know, we have it broken up in different industries and sectors, and so it's like anything else. The more that you give, the more you get back out of it.
Yeah.
So if you get on there and you're watching the feed and watching the scrolls, and you're not interjecting yourself, how are people going to know who you are, what you do, and how to help you? So I always encourage people to participate because, again, right now we've got over 3,000 companies on that platform. You know, we're aiming to get that to a 50,000 company platform. And it's completely free. And so the idea behind that is to facilitate that. But that's also the reason why we're having our conference, because, you know, if you come to the conference, you come to the event, and you're in a room with 500-600 other people that look like you, that are at all different levels in this industry. You know, I just interviewed someone, one of my students, that won a $230,000 contract from someone he met at the conference.
Wow. Nice. And you should get a piece of that, you know. Now, when, you know, this government contracting, people say it's so much to learn, so much to do. Is it ever where companies that you're seeing your students get like a source of SOT, or people are calling them and they don't even have to pitch because their NICS codes are so necesito? And if so, what are those NICS codes that they don't have enough of? Because I think everybody does PR, marketing, you know, communication. With AI now, you can have AI do your website. Things are changing, and they've been like that for a while. But what NICS codes are the hottest right now?
So it's interesting. A lot of people ask that question, right? And believe it or not, the government is like a slow-moving ship. So even though you got AI doing all this stuff, they're not on that. They're not on that.
Yeah.
You know, so the government, you know, I got a friend of mine that does blockchain. But the way that the government uses blockchain, like, is for doing like tax audit stuff. That's not, you know, you wouldn't think about blockchain in that manner, but they're doing it to catch like tax cheats.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're using AI, but they're not using AI to build websites. They're still buying traditional web design. The government's still buying PR. Yeah. They're still putting out, you know, they're not doing blitz campaigns. They're not doing social media campaigns. You know, the only people that are doing that is maybe for like Army, Navy recruitment for like soldiers and for people. But outside of that, they're still doing everything the traditional way. So believe it or not, I believe that every market is wide open. I believe every NACS code is necessary. I don't believe there's any NACS codes that are not necessary. I don't believe any that's not critical. I don't believe any where there's not plentiful and abundance of demand, because what I've seen, and my famous words are, the government does not get the best people, they get the best people that come to them. And so if you don't come to them, they're dealing with some subpar company, some that they may not be happy with, but they don't have a choice because they don't have the ability like the private sector to go out and find the best company in the world that does this and bring them in. If you're not registered, if you know, and if you're not wanting to be part of that system, the procurement system, it doesn't matter if you're the best.
Okay.
So what I tell people is this. I found with my students, and this is our strategy that we use, there's a lot of amazing companies that are not selling to the government. go find them, offer to help them do that, and then you now have an amazing company that you work with that you can take that product to the government. And you tell them, don't worry about all the bureaucracy, you'll deal with it, right?
Yeah.
I'll deal with all the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
You guys keep making your, whatever, new jet pack or something. I'm going to deal with the bureaucracy of the government. And so now you're representing this company that has this crazy, whatever, a portfolio, past performance, technology, whatever it is, and you're taking it to the government because they don't want to do that. And that's where we found the most amount of success with my students who are solopreneurs and 2 or 3 person companies.
Now, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so here my next question. I know you don't have any certificates to this day. I gave up my 8A this year because when moving and when they finally got the COVID stuff together, I was like, I don't want y'all coming to my new house, looking under, telling me you didn't put that TV. Like I have one TV in my house to this day. They said, you didn't put that TV on the thing, my wedding ring. You didn't put your wedding ring on the list. And I'm like, this is when we lived in Washington. And I'm like, you know what? I think they sometimes put us in these batches, black folk and other minorities, so they don't do business with us sometimes, or they only give us so much. And as soon as I get away from the certifications and the chambers that are, some of them that are useless, I start getting calls. Hey, you got this, you got this? And I'm like, maybe I'm on the white list now and not on the black list. What do you think about certifications, and have you seen 8A or being on the GSA schedule make anybody's business?
So, you know, I love that. And I agree with you, everything you said. You know, I've had several friends of mine that also gave up their 8A because it hindered them. Because when they were trying to do acquisitions, they were growing. The government said that, oh, because you're 8A, you can't make these acquisitions, right? And so because there are certain rules about that. Well, you're making acquisitions to grow the business, but the 8A was keeping them from doing that. Now, a lot of us are not there, and so I agree with you. The people, in my mind, the majority of 8A companies, first of all, don't win contracts. I think somewhere like 70-80% of them go out of business once they finish 8A. And so really, the people who maximize the 8A are the ones who came in that already knew how to do contracts, that already had experience doing contracts, that already had experience doing business government, and then they took the 8A and then they blew it up. But if you think that you're getting an 8A because I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm a this and that, and they owe me something, you're going to fail in the program. You're going to fail. And so going back to your other point, I believe the same thing, that they box us in. I say the exact same thing. You know, one of the people the organizations that I really feel does a disservice to women in particular, but minority women, because that's my people, is WeBank. And I'm going to call them out because WeBank is full of it, because they make people buy this certification and they tell you we'll give you a free women's certification when the women's certification is free already. Yeah. And all they're interested in doing is getting their corporate donors to give money, and they're using all the women as the bait to sell to the corporate sponsors, so the corporate sponsors give them $10,000 a year recertification. And then, so when they don't actually teach you how to get no contracts. Yeah. And so I believe, and I said this at WeBank conference, I said, you know, when I talk to all the corporations, let's say Sony, and he goes, well, if you're not WeBank certified, we can't do business with you. I said, that's not true. I said, what percentage of your contracts do you give to women? He says 5%. I said, so I can compete for the other 95%. I just can't compete for that 5. Yeah. But the other 95 that you give to people that are not certified, I'm competing that, right? Yeah. He's like, yeah. I said, okay, well then take me out the 5% pool. I want to compete in the 95% pool. Yeah. And so that's what, you know, that's the difference. So yes, they are absolutely boxing you in, because I had a lady I spoke to this week who said to me, Eric, I can't get contracts because I'm not certified. I said, no, you can't get the percentage of certified contracts, but you can get the rest of the pie, which is probably near 90% of the pie. Yeah. Wow, that's game. So we are literally, they're putting us in a mindset that we only allowed to have this much of the pie. Literally, probably this much. Yeah. Is what they're telling us. And so we got this big old pie, and they're saying, no, you guys, as a matter of fact, I'm going to turn it sideways because they want you to get that much of it. Yeah. I'm going to tell you something else that people don't know. The government says, because you guys might have this, well, Eric, you do 23% with small businesses. You heard that before? Yeah. Okay. Do you know that, yes, they do 23% with small businesses, but they don't solicit 23% of those contracts as small businesses. I just had on there the president of the Hub Zone National Council, and for the Hub Zone program, she said, and I have to get the data right, they solicit or advertise about 5 to 10% of the total Hub Zone contracts. So how do they meet their goals? Because what they do is, everyone's been told to go get certifications, all of us. So you win it fair and square openly, and then they take credit for you having a certification. They didn't make it certified.
Yeah.
They just got the credit. So you didn't get any advantage, but they got the credit. So they get to check a box as they gave a certified company contract, but they didn't solicit it that way. So your certification didn't help you in any way get that contract.
We'll go deeper, because even when they pull that roster and they start calling, when I was in Seattle, I'd get a call, hey, how much is your service? Well, I don't know the scope of work. I can't tell you. Can you send it to me? Send it, look at it, call the OGs who've been doing it for, longer than I've been alive. What should it be? It should be this. Okay, call them right back within the hour. Oh, we already got somebody to do it for $50 an hour. The thing is supposed to be double, if not triple that. So they lowball. They're calling to see the lowest number that they can get. They don't care about who does the best work. And I was like, this is game. And they would brag and say, we're at 1.2% on black business now. And I said, what were we before? Because that ain't no flex. And they're like, oh, we were below 1. And I was like, this is crazy. And we're supposed to be happy and just clapping when we get to 1.2. Have you seen that in the federal, where they're trying to lowball the minority businesses and get it for the low?
No, I haven't seen that. That's not something I've experienced.
Okay.
Because really, again, in federal, we don't classify as minority. So it's all small business, large business, right? You have veteran, but we don't classify as minority. So, I would say, have I seen them lowball small businesses? Yes, I've seen them, because on the bigger contracts, it's all best value. And on a smaller contract, it's what's called LPTA, or lowest price technically acceptable. So that's another form of lowballing, because technically, if you check these boxes and you're technically acceptable, then they go for the lowest price. And so there's been a lot of controversy about that, because that's something that's commonly used with small business type programs. And so, that's why, for me, I try to tell people, if you start off by just bidding, you're not going to be successful. You have to start off by understanding how they buy, who buys, and developing relationships with those people, so then you can do negotiated work. And so when you do negotiated work, then you can negotiate, say, hey, okay, if you need this price, that's fine. We're going to de-scope it so that I'm not doing more work for less money.
Okay.
So we could meet your price, but we'll just de-scope the project, right? And so now we still get our margins, and the government still gets their price point, because sometimes they can't budge on price.
Now, with the price and just the system, the source of SOTs on the federal side, does that happen a lot?
Source of SOT?
Yeah.
There's 500 of them a week coming out.
Okay, so those are available. Those, when you see those, I just get happy when I see them. And part of it is, I was at a PTAC meeting back in the day. This guy was doing like 15 million, and the woman was like, source of SOT. He's like, what are you saying? Because that's not something that people commonly hear.
Right.
Source of SOTs, can you talk about that? And should we be looking for those so we don't have to compete as much?
Yeah, so source of SOT is a form of market research. It's what the government uses to determine where the small business is at, who are competent and capable. And so, for me, source of SOT is the only way that I think that small businesses really should be starting with, to try to get a pulse on what's happening in the marketplace for their industry. It's a lot of times and we're talking about federal again, specifically federal does this. If we don't participate in source of SOT, meaning the market research phase, when the government's trying to decide what do we do with this project? If we don't participate, then we're to blame for why there's not more small business set-asides. And so, unfortunately, going back to your conspiracy theory, they don't teach us this. So since they don't teach us this, but they hold us accountable for not doing it, it's kind of a, what is the word I'm looking for?
Catch-22?
Yeah, because they didn't teach you this stuff,
Yeah.
but they're holding you accountable for doing it. So then they're saying, well, you're to blame for why there's not more small business opportunities, because you guys didn't fill out the market research request, but you didn't teach us how to do the market research request, so how can we fill it out, and how can we be to blame for cause of our own failure? And so that's why, for me, I spend a lot of my time educating small businesses, teaching them, because I don't want that. It's similar to, like I said, ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I don't want us to say, well, we didn't know about this, so we didn't participate. I want to spread the word, and that's why I'm coming on shows like this, so we can do that, so we can teach people the right thing, rather than say, go and middleman a $5 billion contract and to be rich.
Okay. And, Eric's game is going to go further than that. He was on the African Diaspora back in the day. I'm trying to get that booking for this week if possible, because on bigger platforms, maybe you guys will say, oh, well, I believe it now, right? Because sometimes people say, Kellen, that's just your life, or that's just somebody you know. It's like, no, it's just the people I'm seeking after, because I want to seek information. I need to know things so I don't make mistakes. And I got this question cleared before asking, can you talk about paying the government back? Because most people, if they win a government contract for $1 million, are going to lose their mind. They're about to get the Michael Jackson and the Janet nose and the chin, and they're going to start, certain things. I mean, you're going to see rings on rings, but paying it back, I've seen it in real life in Seattle, Washington. Can you talk about that to give people a warning? Just because they might write you a check doesn't mean you need to go spend that check right away.
Yeah, there's definitely been instances, and when you do the research, right, and so one of the platforms we use is called FPDS. If you go in there, you'll see a lot of negative dollar signs, right? And so they're basically deducting stuff from people's contracts. And so what happens is you may get a contract for $1 million, right? And then they deduct this $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. And so I've been in that situation before where, I've had to pay back a lot of money on a contract. And so you have to know that until everything is finished, until the project's complete, until the government's satisfied, this is not your money. And so you've got to, and even still sometimes in construction, you'll know this, Kellen, that based on the bonding and some rules, they can come back years later and you can still owe money because something else happened, right? And they said that you were responsible for that. So I've been in that situation before, and I paid back over millions of dollars.
Is there anything that you could have done not to pay? Because it's like a game of spades where it's the government, man, you reneged on me. Like, was there anything in hindsight being 2020 if you say, look, we would not have had to pay that money if, or is it just one of those things that you have to, be ready for?
Yeah, I think, there's numerous reasons why things don't work out, right? Contract terms, right? And so for me, I think the biggest thing that, when you're a small business, you don't read all the contracts. You don't read all the language. It's thick. And,
if you do, you don't understand it because it's too damn long to read.
So I think that, for me, every experience that I've had has gotten me to where I'm at today. So I would not want to do anything differently, because if I didn't lose money, if I didn't have these hardships, I wouldn't have went after bigger projects, bigger opportunities, had to build bigger teams, because I wouldn't have been in such a big hole. So every time I get in a big hole, I have to climb out of the hole. Yeah. And a lot of us don't want to get in a hole. We don't want to try to endure any suffering or pain. Yeah. Because we're like, well, I should be joyful and spirit high energy every day, and that I should not have to. I should be just rich by
osmosis.
Not just osmosis, but just by just climbing up successfully and everything working out all the time, as opposed to having to fall back down or climb back up or step over a hump, right? So we just think that it's just a straight up type of climb. But everyone that I shared a stage with, they fell really hard, maybe even multiple times. And so it was through their perseverance and grit that's what propelled them even further. So I don't know. I don't think I would have the type of mentality I have if I hadn't had massive failure.
If you don't pay the government back, what happens? Do they take an extended loan, or is it like Mr. Monopoly, go directly to jail?
Well, every time that I've not paid the government back, they've seized my bank accounts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're not playing. All my bank accounts.
They are not playing.
Yeah, they just take all your money out to zero.
And this is why, you guys, we have to have channels like this, whether you are listening to it. I know the majority of you are there, but we got Sir Eric Coffie and the yacht behind us. So you guys really go over to the YouTube and make sure, you like and share this game, because this will save somebody who might have seen another channel and they say, oh, this is so easy, I'm going to get into it, then I'm going to borrow against my house, or, and now you got yourself in a bigger hole. You live a very clean life. You even work still from home. Talk about that, because there's some people in Massachusetts right now, they will go get an office just to get like a certain grant, and then they spread the money around the community, and this person has to get an office, and then we do the same thing. Can you talk about why you still work from home instead of trying to go get the biggest office here in South Florida?
So I will say this. I mean, we've had plenty of offices. I've had warehouses. We had warehouses even up to probably 2023. And so the reason why, and again, I've had offices in different places. The reason why I work from home is because all of our team is remote. And it doesn't really make sense to have a physical location when our team is remote, right? That's not to say that we're opposed to getting an office if we have to, right? But what I've learned from, and the reason why I wear my Hawaiian shirt is, and going back to your 8A, is a couple things. In the Small Disadvantaged Business Program, the organizations that are winning the most contracts are tribal organizations, which is like the tribes, American Indian tribes, then you have the Alaska Native tribes, and then you have Native Hawaiian organizations. And so I wear this because that is a way which you can grow and scale, working with other strategic partners and these organizations that are also small businesses, but they are doing the hundreds of millions of dollars and the billions of dollars of contracts. So we're going to be bringing them to our conference to meet you guys. And so the reason why, again, going back to why you said I work from home, is because I learned from them that they have very small teams and that their leadership works from home. And I said, wait, if these people could do $100 million, $200 million work from home, I said, damn, why do we feel the need to get an office? Now, if you have a team, for example, that's working on a project in some place, like when we do construction, we get like a construction trailer for our team on that site.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we'll get an office if we have a team deployed somewhere, we'll get a space for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But all the leadership people, because everyone was spread out, they didn't have offices. And then even one of the groups that I worked with that had an office in DC, they said nobody comes to the office. So it was really like for show. Yeah. So it's just interesting that I think now we've all starting to realize that, people don't want to come to a physical office. They don't want to come to a physical space. Like I said, even when I had my offices and I had my employees, the only people in there were like some administrative people, and all those women cat fight all day. So that wasn't that wasn't nothing to me. I wasn't excited going in that thing anyways. But every time they cat fight about every little detail.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that with the situation, and it's always interesting. Let's say this. I've seen Mr. Dungy of Urban Home Entertainment. He comes down to the Fontainebleau to do the NATPE every year. He gets a chance. And what he taught me is he has like 8 houses in Atlanta. And so those are the offices. Sure. So depending on what, you need to do, hey, come to the house. And I've sent some team members there, and they're like, he got the house. It was clayed back. And I said, that's more of the McDonald's play. Right. Let's have the office and the real estate, and we own it, and we can, if it all goes to hell, we can Airbnb it now, or we can rent it out. So that's something I would do. But I love being at home because I homeschool my kids. My wife works from home. I just love being at home in the robe, feeling like the Black Hugh Hefner with just one wife, though, and a healthy lifestyle. Eric, let the people know, because I could go on Joe Rogan style, but I want them to go to Gov Giants, really get the game. I want them to fly in if they have to come to the conference, because you're not going to get this. Again, I told you guys, our last guest, JJ from Apex Accelerators, aka PTAC, said he learns from Eric Coffie, and people are getting the game from you directly. So we want to make sure we give you your flowers now. My last question, possibly. You're doing all this teaching. Can you get it accredited? Is there any college or university where this can be a degree? Because this is, even my friends in Harvard say, I didn't learn any of this in school. I had to go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No. So that's we're working on that now, is getting our trainings accredited. And we're doing that primarily so that we can help the military personnel coming out be able to, because a lot of them understand, because they're military, right? So they understand working in government, but we would like to get them the training so they can become accredited so that they can get high-paying careers and jobs. Because it's interesting, there's this lady that I listen to on TikTok, and she's got a book where she talks about all these non-degree types of jobs. And so most of us have no idea until we become adults that there's all these thousands of jobs that didn't require degrees.
Yeah.
And they pay way more money than jobs with degrees.
Yeah.
And so they're forcing us to buy college degrees because the high school counselors only have this limited knowledge of types of jobs. But in this field, right, the things that we teach people, I teach business development, capture management. Well, if you go and Google this, and I challenge you, like Google capture management or business development for any of the top defense contractors, those jobs are paying $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. So within accreditation and some experience, these are the kind of jobs that people can get where they can feed their families and they can really eat. But it doesn't require a degree.
Wow. Capture management. If you guys did not write that down in your mind, in your heart, you need to do that ASAP.
Yeah.
And listening to, your high school counselor, no disrespect to I know I got young people listening. That's why we keep it clean as we can. Listening to your high school counselor, what you should do is almost like listening to your banker, what you should do with your money. He's sitting behind a desk telling you not to pay your insurance in advance so your mortgage will go down if you have one. And I'm not listening to the banker. He's working. Yeah, no disrespect, but you're working. I'm trying to build something bigger, fresh. So yeah, that's just the game we want to give. Let them know again where they can find you, the best way to be able to connect with you, and just connect.
Yeah, so again, GovCon Giants is our platform. That's the best way to find us. Now for the training, it's GovCon EDU, but again, we're all connected. You can find me. I've got a YouTube platform. I've got a podcast called GovCon Giants. And so again, we're on all the platforms. I'm big on LinkedIn, and like I said, we really want to provide real, like, practical, factual information about how this stuff works. And so I'm not the best marketer, but in terms of the most amount of students who've won successfully, there's no one that tops us. And so we're proud to say that. A lot of our sponsors for our conference are former students who've made it, and they're coming back to give back. And you'll see that when you come to the conference. You'll meet hundreds of people who've gone through our trainings and our courses who've been successful and made a bunch of money from us. And so they're coming to meet other people in the room, but also to say thanks for the work that we've done over the last 6-7 years. So
you guys got the game. Make sure that you comment, make sure you like, but most importantly, make sure you share this game. It will change somebody's life. Be blessed.
Hello everyone! Join us on an exciting journey with Explore the World Cameroon. London and Sydney go take you explore Cameroon, the heart of Africa. Experience the vibrant culture, nature and traditions from Yaoundé Market to rainforest adventures. Every page na new discovery. Join the Cameroonian food, music and wildlife with our explorers. This book na true celebration of Cameroon spirit. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through your library and bookstores via Ingram's Park. Don't miss this adventure.